We usually despise humble beginnings. And if we don't despise them, oftentimes we find ourselves really embarrassed about humble beginnings or starting over. And you usually don't see where someone is. You always see where they were after they get the breakthrough. And I'm here to normalize that it's okay to start over, to start your life from scratch, to start from the bottom, and to be in a space where it feels like, what the heck am I doing with my life? Or what the heck just happened to my life? I'm a stay-at-home mom, and last year me and my husband moved to a one-bedroom apartment with a newborn and a toddler. But because I am not a victim, and because I don't struggle with an orphan spirit, I know that I am positioned to experience the glory of God. When we first got married 5 years ago, we only had a little bit of savings left after we got married. Because of the grace of God and his goodness and his mercy and his kindness and his faithfulness, me and my husband ended up in a luxury building in Brooklyn, New York. We had a doorman, we had a pool, we had laundry there, and everything in the vicinity. Even though on paper we were not qualified for that space, we had no jobs lined up. Because I have history with God and I've seen what he can do in my life, I am not going to complain about where I am, and I'm most definitely not going to be embarrassed about where I am, because I am positioned to experience his glory. There are so many stay-at-home moms who find themselves in spaces where they beat themselves up. They question if God called them to stay home. They question if God loves them, if God sees them, if God is with them, if God's favor is before them. They question if they're cursed. They question if they made the wrong decision. And if you are in a place right now specifically where you are embarrassed because of where you live, you downsized, you gave up your house and you sold it, you live with your in-laws, you live with a sibling, you live with friends, maybe the church is paying for your bills, it is okay to start over with God, even if you have children. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. When we think about the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Son of Man, Son of God, the Christ, the Messiah, he was born of a virgin and laid in a manger. And oftentimes when we see the nativity scene, we see a little Old Testament bassinet. But research says that a manger is actually a piece of stone. It was a piece of stone that the Messiah, the King of glory and majesty, laid his head down in for the first time. Should Mary have been embarrassed about her circumstances? Was Mary an orphan in that situation? Was she abandoned by God and forsaken? I don't think so. But I think because of the details of the story, God's glory was magnified, and we love the story all the more because it doesn't make sense that the King of the universe would step down to be born and laid down in a manger. There's nothing royal and glorious about that in a human perspective, but it is. So if the King of glory laid his head down on a piece of cement that was used to feed cattle, I think it's okay that for a season, your housing situation is less than ideal. Because if there's nothing that you can do about it, that means that God has positioned you to experience his glory, just like me. And that's why I'm not ashamed or embarrassed. And there's no internet stranger or the devil that's going to make me embarrassed about where I am in my life, because I know the God that I serve. I know who I belong to. And I know that on the other side of this one-bedroom apartment is the glory of God. And I'm going to hop back on here when I experience that breakthrough. So don't be embarrassed. You can be set back in life. You start over from scratch, from the beginning, and still win on top because of the God that you belong to.